All right, I'm interested in this video. It looks interesting. The biology of why men isolate. I'd like to know why I isolate. Let's watch it.
So I don't know if you guys have seen these memes where,
I love
there's
memes,
some kind of comic where a woman is getting complimented / harassed on her appearance, and then someone does a gender swap, and then dudes are like, yeah, this would be great.
Of course, yeah, man. Men like compliments. Men do be liking compliments, man. That's the thing. If you're a woman and you compliment a guy, you gotta be careful because you just got a new stalker.
I'd be totally fine with this.
It's not funny, but the joke is a little funny. But some women, it's a little scary. I can see that.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about compliments. We're going to dig into the science of what kind of attention men receive, what kind of attention women receive, and the really interesting.
Well, I think that, like, generally speaking, the way that men and women interact, like, it's just more normal for a guy to, like, guys are supposed to pursue, like, historically, so they're not really getting the same attention back,
Thing about this is, as we look at compliments, we will uncover some very crucial mechanisms that are driving the loneliness epidemic and may explain why the loneliness epidemic is statistically what appears to be worse for men than women. And
I think so. I think it definitely is.
Turns out that there are some aspects of biology, specifically the effect of estrogen and testosterone on oxytocin. So oxytocin is a bonding hormone, facilitates the connection between human beings. And it turns out that estrogen facilitates oxytocin's action, so facilitates the formation of bonds, whereas testosterone inhibits it, especially under periods of stress. And so this is kind of a weird video because we're going to start with compliments and we're going to sort of move on to loneliness. So let's get started with compliments. First thing to understand, women receive about 75% of all compliments, men receive about 25%. The earliest research on this started in the 80s, and then studies through...
That's rough, man. I wonder how wide that encompasses. Like, I wonder if that takes into account, like, your mom saying you look handsome, or is this just talking about, like, more in the dating sphere?
Through about 2008, which is the last study that I looked at.
And is catcalling considered a compliment? Because then that gets into a whole new conversation.
That it basically maintained this.
Like, would sexual harassment be considered a compliment? Because men get less compliments, but I would say that more compliments that women get are considered unwanted.
Ratio. So first reason why compliments are core memories for...
It's just like, I would really want to know that. Because I feel like a lot of times we talk about compliments. It's like, oh, women get complimented all the time. It's like, yeah, but a lot of it's undue and, like, inappropriate. Like, is catcalling a compliment? If you whistle at a girl, like, hey, baby, let me poop on your ball or something like that. That's obviously the hottest thing a woman's ever heard. Is that considered a compliment? I don't think so. Yeah, catcalling, sexual harassment. But is that, like, I don't know the statistic. And I wonder if the data differentiates the two. I don't think that it does, because then I feel like it would change drastically.
Dudes, they don't receive them much. So here's what's really interesting. It's not just the quantity of compliments, it is also the type of compliment.
Okay.
So 75% of compliments that women receive are on their appearance.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to talk about catcalling.
Interestingly enough, the majority of compliments that women receive on their appearance are from other women, and the majority of compliments that men receive are on their performance.
Really? 80% of all compliments concern appearance or performance. However, the preferred topic is between two women's appearance. Interesting. Huh. I wouldn't have thought that women are more likely to compliment other women.
But complimenting
than men.
People in today's world is a little bit tricky, because if I compliment a woman on her appearance, will this be perceived as unwanted attention or sexual harassment? Because I certainly don't want to do that. But on the flip side, how do I express appreciation for someone, even if I'm...
Yeah, that is true. The problem, too, is like, for one, unwanted attention could obviously see something that women get frustrated about. On the other hand, like, what are you saying? If you walk up to a girl and you're like, hey, excuse me, like, you look very nice, like, she's not going to think you're sexually harassing her. But some guys, they are very inappropriate about the way that they interact with these things.
I'm not interested in them in a romantic way. Or how do I express appreciation for them if I am interested in them in a romantic way? And then we get to dudes complimenting other dudes. So this is a great example of this from a research paper, where one guy's like, hey, I like your shirt. And the other dude's like, nice, I like your face. So we're going to talk...
I'm assuming that's like a humorous parody, but I understand the meme there, yeah.
A little bit about how to compliment people and also how to receive compliments. So let's...
Yeah, that's interesting. It's difficult for me to compliment Like I feel it's weird. It's weird to compliment guys or girls because I don't want to make girls uncomfortable. I'm a big guy, I'm like 6'4", and like I don't want to scare girls. Being with my wife is like the for the first time is like a situation that where I feel like girls aren't as intimidated by me. So like I can exist around them and like they don't feel like I'm making them uncomfortable, which is nice. So that's cool. It's nice having a wife. But then guys, like what do I say to a guy? You know? I don't know. I guess if I'm talking to like I don't want to talk to dudes that much. I don't have any friends. What the fuck am I talking about? But yeah, I guess I don't know. It's weird. Maybe I should try to make more of an effort. You know, more of an effort here.
Let's get into the type of compliments and figure out which ones are appropriate and not appropriate. First thing,
hey, nice balls. This is a good compliment to give a guy.
Is we can compliment someone's appearance. So 75% of the compliments that women receive are on their appearance. The majority of appearance-based compliments received by women are given by women, right? So women compliment their appearance, other women's appearance all the time. Second thing is the majority of compliments that men receive are based on their performance, okay? So about 70%
we just say this?
Of compliments that men receive are on their performance. Once you enter a work setting, 68% of compliments that women receive are on their performance, right? So it used to be about 75% were on their appearance. In the work setting, they get complimented on their performance a lot more. That's a good shift. 98% of compliments that men receive in the workplace are based on their performance. So rule number one, if you are working with someone, you want to compliment their performance, not their appearance, unless it's a female-to-female relationship where arguably you can still get away with that.
I mean, I feel like I don't think it has to be so reductive. I think that you can compliment somebody on their appearance as long as it's not like harassy, if that makes sense. Like if you walk up to somebody that's like, hey, like, oh, you look nice today. I don't think that anybody would ever consider that some kind of sexual harassment. I think that you can do that without making somebody uncomfortable, as long as you're not being a fucking weirdo creep about it. Like that would be the bigger issue, is if you're being some kind of weird creep about it, then of course that would be a problem. But I think that you can do it without being like a weird creep.
But generally speaking, don't compliment people's appearance in the workplace. Second thing.
Oh, you look nice today. I think that would be nice, you know. Oh, you look nice today. Oh, you look really nice today. Like those are probably two different things. I think you can get away with it if you're mature, you know.
If you are going to compliment someone's appearance, a good way to do it is to take an article of their clothing or their hairstyle, one attribute of their appearance, and tie it to them specifically. For example, Dr. K, you're rocking that hoodie. So we're not saying they're pretty. We're not objectifying a part of them. We're actually usually referring to an object that they have and tying it to them, making it special about them.
Sure, that's not a bad idea. That's nice. You just have to be indirect about it. Like, don't say that they look sexy or something. Just be like, oh, you look nice. Don't say that somebody looks handsome. Just be like, oh, you look nice, you know?
The way that you are pulling off that outfit is awesome.
Slay Queen! That's what you could say. It works better when it's Christmas time because there's a little bit of a double meaning to it, you know?
You're really knocking that outfit out of the park. You're really rocking that hairstyle. You're really like... That beer gut is absolutely enviable, bro.
Are you talking to me, dude? Are you talking about my beard? Guys, stop calling me gay, okay? I'm married. I love my wife. I'm not a closeted homosexual.
Okay? So if we want to compliment appearance, don't just call someone hot unless you're trying to indicate romantic interest.
Hot's that's a little rough, bud. You know?
You can still appreciate someone's appearance without making it threatening or sexual. Third thing is, men especially like this, you can comment on someone's possessions. Super safe way to give a compliment.
Oh, nice cock.
That's an awesome...
That's a possession, you know? Say that to my wife, because she owns my penis.
Some truck. I love that grill. That's an epic mouse pad.
I love that grill. That's a dad conversation right there. Oh, I really like your grill. You have a really nice grill. I gotta stand here, fuck.
I really like that pen. You can compliment someone's stuff, and it tends to be pretty safe. Next thing that we got to talk about, because we got to do social rehab for the internet, is how to receive compliments. Generally speaking, the best thing...
I'm so bad at it. You know, like the other day, I think I was at, what the fuck is it called? Outback. I like Outback. Outback's one of my favorite restaurants, honestly. Like, I like it more than, something else. The shittier Outback. You know what I'm talking about. Texas Roadhouse. And the guy was like, "Oh man, that's an awesome beard. I got some competition." I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's how. So that's that's how I interact with that's how I interact with compliments. Oh yeah. My mother-in-law said I looked nice the other day, and I was like, "Oh okay." And then after like 2 minutes, I'm like, "You look nice too." Like it took me a while because I was dressed up. I think we were going to her cousin's bridal party. Like they're doing like a thing. It's celebrating their engagement party. That's the name. It's not a bridal party. And she complimented me. So it's just like I'm so bad at like giving compliments, taking compliments. I'm fucking horrible, bro. What the fuck?
To do is to appreciate someone giving you a compliment. So this is kind of like parrying a compliment, where it's like someone sends a compliment your way and then you knock it back by sending one of your own. And I love this in video games because there's this parry mechanic, right? Which is one attack is
so online. Oh, what the fuck? How did this dude die? What the hell? Oh my god.
Countered by another attack. But we don't want to parry compliments. What we want to do is appreciate them. So a lot of times what happens is we feel really embarrassed when someone notices something nice about us. And then what we do is we have to reverse Uno them. I really like your hair. Oh, well, I really like your hair. I feel really uncomfortable receiving that compliment. So I sort of reject it and turn the tables onto you. Instead, what you can do is appreciate their compliment. This is the right way to receive their positive energy and give positive energy back. Oh, I really love the way that you're rocking that sweater. And then you can appreciate that by saying, yeah, I actually looked at 3 or 4 of them. I wasn't sure which one to get. Thank you so much for noticing, right? You can say something like that.
I was looking at 6 or 7 different sweaters, You
can appreciate, thank you for noticing. I appreciate you noticing. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, bro. Okay. So you can just appreciate it. That's really good. Next thing is that if you do feel embarrassed, that's actually totally fine. So here's the cool thing. If someone compliments you and you feel embarrassed, that is their way of knowing that the compliment worked, right? You're not confused. You're not
getting embarrassed is how they know it worked. What?
You do feel embarrassed. That's actually totally fine. So here's the cool thing. If someone compliments you and you feel embarrassed, that is their way of knowing that the compliment worked, right? You're not confused. You're not upset. They tickled you. They tickled your emotions in a really nice way. So you feel
interesting. I mean, there's got to be a little more nuance to that concept. I understand that, but there's different types of embarrassment. But I guess it's one of those things where it's difficult to read people, and I feel like especially for guys, they're so much worse at reading people.
Feel better about that. Now this becomes really important because there are tweets like this one where people will say, yeah, 50% of the loneliness epidemic is because dudes are completely uninvested in social interaction.
I don't think that that's true. I think that dudes are just struggle to understand social. I don't know why exactly. Maybe we weren't taught or something. I have no fucking idea. But I don't think it's guys are completely uninterested. I just don't think it's something that's really praised. It's so interesting because for me, growing up, I remember when it was considered gay to say another man would look nice or was handsome. I don't know if you guys remember this. But it used to be considered fucking gay to tell somebody that they were oh, that's a handsome guy. And that changed. So I feel like that's the kind of energy overall where men are at is it's so regressive when it comes to it's so regressive when it comes to this. I don't know, man. I feel like that's it. And now I think it's a little more okay to do that. But I can imagine that energy still kind of crosses over and we're still regressive on other things that we shouldn't be,
And many of us as men are not taught how to compliment people. But the broader question still remains that why is it that men receive so few compliments? Why is it that when we receive a compliment, it feels like a core memory? And why is it that it is so hard for people to connect? But it turns out that biology has a huge part to play here. Relationships.
Guys, if you struggle in relationships, you're just a high testosterone male. That's it.
Have never been easy. Anytime you interact with someone, you're dealing with their unique soup of emotions expectations, and even traumatic baggage. And the fact that we're all texting now and dating apps are a thing is not making things easier. That's why we developed a coaching program to help.
Ooh, he's selling something. I was confused for a second. That seems pretty cool.
Our community with modern relationship problems. Working with a coach can help you build skills like setting boundaries, communicating effectively,
Hey, we love setting boundaries, baby.
and navigating conflict. So if y'all are struggling with your relationships, check out the link in the description below. So from a big picture standpoint, I want y'all to think about this. When we see a systemic effect, right? So if all men, not all men, but if a lot of men, if a majority of men or a significant minority of men struggle in forming relationships, chances are there is a systemic reason. It is not individual responsibility. There is something going on with the way that men are conditioned, our biology, that results in this thing. And unless we understand those systemic factors, we can't place the responsibility on an individual dude to solve a systems-based problem. What I think a lot of people don't realize is how hard it is for men to form bonds, how we're biologically impaired, literally, at forming bonds, especially when we're under stress. So this is
it's interesting because, like, I've always like systemic. I would never. I mean, I guess environmental would be some like form of systemic, right? I guess I never really considered it that way. I always considered like, oh, it's an environmental factor. Like that's different, or not environmental. Sorry, biological factor. I never considered that part of like a systemic factor. But I guess that does make sense. It would be part of like our overall, macro, life situation going on.
It's a really fascinating study. In their analysis of gender differences in coping, Lucknow et al. Found that the largest difference arose on seeking and using social support, and combined significance of their effect was significant beyond the p-value of, this is an astronomical p-value, y'all. Of the 26 studies that tested gender differences, 1 study showed no difference and 25 favored women. This is really important to understand. When women are under periods of stress, they cope with that stress by forming bonds. But the question is why, right?
That's interesting. I'm trying to think of like relating that to my experience with my wife. Like my wife and I talk about like everything, and like when I'm stressed, I talk about with her. But I will definitely say that I get angrier more often than she does. I will say that. And like when I get angry, I isolate. Whereas like she's much more willing to talk to me about everything that's going on with her. So this all does track to me. And that's obviously is very anecdotal, but that does make sense. I mean, I eventually do talk to her, but that's more of because like I learned to open up probably more than like that's a general, like almost biological imperative, I would say.
So what is different about women as compared to men? And this is what's really
They got boobs. They hold their trauma in their titties.
fascinating. So estrogen actually induces oxytocin transcription. So what does this mean? This means that when we have estrogen floating around, it actually causes us to create oxytocin and has a synergistic effect with oxytocin. And oxytocin is our bonding hormone.
Okay.
So what we see is that the female sex hormone is directly responsible for the formation of bonds and for the drive to form bonds.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you need to eat your girlfriend out on her period because that's when she's releasing eggs and those are full of estrogen. That's what I'm hearing. So guys, you need to estrogen max by getting your Red Wings on a monthly basis. Okay, this makes a lot of sense to me now.
Whereas if we look at testosterone, the higher our testosterone levels are, this has an inhibiting effect on oxytocin. When men are under periods of stress, we actually don't respond by forming bonds with other people. We actually see a hyper arousal. So we tend to be
You get horny?
problem solvers. We tend to focus on solutions. We also bear that burden by ourselves. It's not just the effect of...
Is he just saying arousal like in a general sense? Like getting excited can be positive or negative? That's what it sounds like we're doing here. Is there a fucking mom over here?
estrogen and testosterone and oxytocin. The brains of men and women, when we're faced with stress, also behave differently. So the hypothesis that stress responses in men may be primarily characterized as fight or flight is supported by the observation that RPFC, right prefrontal cortex activation, and left orbitofrontal cortex activation with stress is predominantly observed in the male brain. What this research basically shows us is that when we are under periods of stress, men and women respond differently based on the hormones in our body, okay? So when women...
Damn, life's fucking tough, man. It feels like sometimes we are just like a mixture of like, you know, a bunch of hormones, like biology and experiences, and like we almost have no like free will. Like we think we have free will, but like we're such predictable machines, you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy to me.
Are under high levels of stress, they tend and befriend. Estrogen mediates an increase in oxytocin production and also acts synergistically with oxytocin, allowing us to form bonds with other people. Hence that paper that we looked at earlier, where 25 out of the 26 studies that we looked at, women tend to cope by forming social bonds. Now, the problem is that testosterone has the absolute opposite effect. When men are under periods of stress, they engage in a fight or flight response, where testosterone increases, cortisol increases, and this actually blunts the effect of oxytocin, which results in men isolating. And this is a biological effect. Now, this is where I think a lot of people will jump to saying like, okay, like men just need to change, right? This is where like the subjective experience of men doesn't matter. Men need to complement each other more, which I totally agree with.
Well, yeah, I agree with that too, but it's hard to change. It's hard to go against your biology. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it, but like, it's not easy. Like, dude, I don't know. Men do need to change. Everybody, I guess, needs to change, but it's just so tough. I just feel like, what does it mean to do like a change? Like that means that there's specific environmental situations that you are posed with, that you have to force yourself to act against the way that you want to act. You know, it's like how do I train myself to not want to get behind the wheel of a car when I'm drunk? You know, it's impossible. No, but it's kind of like that. You know, because it's so easy to be like, yeah, you just have to act better. But it's kind of easier said than done. I mean, you're in a situation and like, okay, I need to be better, or I need to, you know, interact in a, you know, this way or that way or some other way. And it's not like intuitive to you. It's hard. You have to actively think about like what you want to do and how you want to do it. It's not like it's not this easy peasy fucking thing that's going on. You have to actively change your state. You have to engage in the behavioral protocol. So that's not easy to do. So it's kind of hard to be aware of it. And you have to do it when you don't want to the most. That's one of the things people have to keep in mind, is that you have to do this shit when you don't want to the most, more than anything else. It's easy to do things when you want to do them, but like when you're training yourself or you're retraining yourself, you have to do shit when you don't want to do it, which sounds like obviously like, oh yeah, no shit. But that's like a difficulty, you know?
By the way, which is why we taught y'all how to compliment, okay? But I want to point this out because I think if you guys want to fix your gender dynamics, both with your own gender and the opposite gender, with the gender that you're attracted to, I don't care. If you want to improve your relationships with the people around you, you must understand their experience of the world. The biggest mistake that I see right now is we are judging other people. Men are judging women, women are judging men based on our experience. So
yeah, that's pretty typical stuff. That's the only thing that you can really parse through. Yeah. I think that's why people get so like upset when somebody does something wrong and they feel like it's like personal. Like, oh, you did that wrong thing to harm me in some way, because you're kind of looking at it through your own experience. And if you're somebody who maybe people have been mean to you or something throughout your life, like, yeah, you might actually initially interpret something in that way.
When we see a woman receiving lots of compliments, we think to ourselves, I am starved for compliments. This is amazing. I don't understand why this person is complaining. And when men say this kind of stuff, like, I would...
It's also the type of compliment. Like, what are you getting? I feel like men are much more likely to be more threatening with their compliments than women are. So there's a lot of baggage there to unpack.
Love this. I don't think they understand the experience of a woman in today's world, okay? So let's look at some scary statistics. The first two items, catcalls, whistles, and stares, and unwanted sexual attention, were reported to be experienced once a month by 32 and 40% of the sample. Strikingly, 31% reported experiencing catcalls, whistles, or stares from strangers every few days or more. Over 1/3 of participants reported hearing offensive sexual...
Why wouldn't they call it a dog call? Right? Or are you calling the cat? Okay, you're not the cat, you're calling the cat. Okay, I get it now.
Jokes or sexist remarks from strangers once a month. In addition, 36 reported being the victim of unwanted touching or stroking once a month. So
that's crazy. Yeah.
I think this is where, like, what a lot of dudes, I think, miss about women's experiences are the frequency. So if you think that the amount of attention that women receive is okay, we'll get to why you think, like, other reasons because you're so starved. But if you think it's okay, I think the thing that people are usually missing here is the frequency. So I want you, if you're a dude, I want you to imagine someone that you're not attracted to. And what would the effect on your psychology be if from every few days to once a month, this person stroked you, made sexual advances, stared at you, touched you in ways that you don't want? And you're like, okay, I can handle it once. But imagine if this happened every few days to 1 month. What effect would that have on your psychology?
Yeah, especially if it's considered super normalized for something like that to happen. It's going to definitely distress you pretty significantly.
On the flip side, if you're a woman who thinks that men can just form bonds, I want y'all to really appreciate how difficult this is for us biologically. It is easy for you to form bonds. It is natural for you to form bonds because based on the estrogen levels in your body and the oxytocin levels in your body, what feels natural to you, what feels intuitive to you is to bond with somebody else. Whereas we are actually wired in the opposite way. What feels natural to us is to isolate. And this is where, like, I'm going to avoid a pitfall because this is the point where a lot of people may be drawing what I would call a false equivalency. Because here I am talking about female sexual harassment, and here I am talking about male loneliness. And I'm not saying that these two are equivalent in any way, shape, or form. My point is that we take for granted, based on our own biology, right? So, like, my favorite example of this is parents who have never experienced depression, who tell their children to just get out of bed. But if y'all have never experienced depression, you have been moving through air your whole life, which I know.
Well, I get that, but I feel like, that's kind of one of those things where you do have to be like, hey, just get out of bed. I understand, like, depression is it's not necessarily easy to do something like that, but sometimes you do just have to, like, take that first step. It's just not easy to take that first step. It's the same thing we were talking about before. We have to, like, recode your brain,
No sounds weird. So when I get up and I walk around, I literally move through air. There is no resistance for me to get up and walk to the door. When I have patients who have depression, walking to the door feels like moving through mud, feels like walking through molasses. There is a fundamental subjective experience that makes it so hard to just get out of bed and walk to the door. It literally feels like a profound amount of resistance. And unless you understand that this is the experience of men when it comes to loneliness, their natural inclination, their biology is telling them to isolate. Their biology is telling them to handle things on their own. Their biology is literally telling them to fight or to run away. Don't tend and befriend. And until we understand that, we will never understand why compliments are core memories for dudes.
Something sexy is coming. All right, that was an interesting video. Cool beans, man. I like that.